Hi YouTube. I am meaning to basically just do a recording for like 5 minutes or something like that and get it up. I think tomorrow I'll be doing live, and today I'm just going, whatever. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I finally made a channel on Nomad Science. Um, I don't know if I can speak to it very eloquently, other than to say that I think that there's a science of sort of scientific specialization where you get a PhD and you learn as much as possible about the tiniest little thing to just move the dot forward ever so slightly. And there's a kind of generalist science that say inventors might go for, where they might specialize in one area, to some extent. I mean, like uh, I think traditionally people like Faraday or whatever, kind of like were self-taught to a greater extent than is typically the case these days. But basically, if you just want to do something cool that works, you might master a lot of different areas, and not necessarily push forward the science as such, but still find some means or way of getting to an advanced level in the things that you need to know in order to do something. I think there's like kind of almost this stigma against people that try to go that route. I mean, like they can be cranks, crackpots, whatever. Cranks and crackpots are welcome in the world of nomad science. I mean, to some extent, there's some sort of standard to hew to. If you go to the Nomad Science subreddit, you'll see that. I mean, I'm up on all the crank stuff, at least to some extent. I mean, like I'm definitely no expert in the electric universe or whatever. Although I'm aware of the rejoinders and the debunkings and so forth. And but it's just fascinating to me that there's kind of like I want to say like a vocationalist community that is like obsessed with something, and to the extent that they would develop. And I don't look down on it. I think there is a reason why Nomad Science is contrasted with Royal Science. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't put that on the Nomad Science subreddit. The Nomad Science subreddit has complexity theory, some cybernetics, some like sort of arcane logics like Rudolf Kerr, Gotthard Gunther. It has memoristic papers on memoristics, and something called the pro-email combinator, and like so it's this kind of like weird, strange, like alter science almost. Also some things on like sort of like the Boole Peirce path through logic that kind of like skips over Frege, or is kind of like a byway through Frege. And so there's like stuff there that's it's like I mean, like Louis Kaufman is kind of a quintessential example of somebody that gets, like, he's a knot theorist, gets deep in the fundamentals, and kind of like is curious, interested in these like these alternate byways. Like George Spencer Brown is one of the people that he treats and talks about. And so there's like this kind of like idea of not just a flow science, like a flow based or like water based, like Victor Schauberger type science, which is I think a part of what like the term gets at, especially in the chapter on nomadology and Thousand Plateaus, or the 12th plateau. But I don't even know what I'm talking about here. Like, I want to build a school, like a STEAM school for adults, like a Montessori STEAM school that, like science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, that is, explicitly an enabling environment, like for constructivist activity at a very high level. I'm very influenced by a place called Recurse Center, who I I love. I mean, it was one of the most inspiring things that I've ever experienced in my life. Even though I only did it online, I can only imagine what it would be like to have a space like this, especially like a cool hacker space, But I'll take whatever I can get. Like, lately, the thing that I've been working towards is with just a local community of friends, having sort of building in this kind of prefigurative fashion. The anarchists talk about, like, you want to sort of build the end state into your process of arriving there, rather than thinking you're going to do things one way and then when you get there, like, you'll do something else. Like you actually like having kind of a weekly calendar that we participate in, having like an online chat, using Zulip, just like Recurse Center does, which was co-developed with Recurse Center. I think it's a little bit more like a forum than like Slack, and it feels a little bit. It's just I'll never stop associating it with the learning community. So it's like kind of a humble honor to adopt it, and it's also FOSS, free and open source software. So that's a great quality to it. And then as an intake, like, there's this book called Ultra Learning by Scott H. Young. Like, taking that book and realizing that, like, it divides everything into like 9 principles, and meta learning, and meta learning is the only one that needs to be done in order. So week by week, we like focus on a different principle, and my goal eventually is to have basically one learn and tell, or just kind of like a show and tell for what you've learned, like, or teach and tell. and using that simultaneously is kind of like a an out like a sort of a an outward event for people that have done at least a month of it, or I think it's at least a month of it, 1 or 2 months, and people that are just coming in as part of intake, like they do the meta learning thing, they take an inventory of their peers, mentors, like materials that they want to learn, their intrinsic or extrinsic or instrumental like motivations for learning, and then basically once they've like taken the meta learning like sort of intake sheet and turned that into us, and then done at least like one presentation during the presentation event. I actually, come to think of it, I think that event is going to have to be pretty long if like a lot of people come in for for a thing. But I'm like right now, it's like it's not really it's not really designed to scale so much. There's just like sort of people in the environment doing it. But we'll figure it out. Like there's going to be these monthly events with like these like teach and tell events. Like probably we'll record those maybe here even. I think that I'd be really happy to do that, and then you can basically you like one of them will start like at the beginning of the first chapter which is focus, and then like they go like retention, intuition, experimentation. I'm getting the order completely wrong, but basically 1 month they'll be here, and then the next month they'll be here, and some people will basically come through intake at the halfway point, and some people will come at the beginning point. But the key is just having these monthly events, and they'll be sort of fed into this environment, and then hopefully broaden it from there. I'm currently in a community called kernel.community that's Ethereum based. I mentioned as part of my adventure, it's very much an online kind of like self-motivated, self-directed environment. I'm a fellow there. I mentioned that I wanted to maybe build this into a DAO, and I think that is simple enough to do with this structure that I have. Although it's funny because like in terms of the environment, like I think more important to me right now is kind of getting a coded document and then formalizing things like this meta learning endeavor as essentially a protocol, and sort of surfacing all of the different practices that we have as protocols, because the term Nomad sites essentially like I think what it really kind of at the outer level like embodies is like a set of techniques for, we'll say like stigmatized outcasts or dispossessed people in society, say who might not all necessarily be stigmatized outcasts or necessarily fully dispossessed, but who in any kind of circumstance can take their mutual like resources and pooled resources and skills and be able in an accelerated fashion to mobilize themselves towards some sort of collective goal in ways that sort of that traverse like things that are just orthogonal to the striated way in which society is currently structured. And then from there, I mean, this is very different from like being like a pure horizontalist or pure like verticalist. I mean, this is very much about like sort of cybernetic hierarchy, or like sometimes goes by panarchy. But I'm trying not to like sort of jump too far out. I mean, this is really just a way of building constructivist practices into sort of a ground level environment, and starting with educational practices. I'm view very, very closely to models that I've experienced. I've gone through a number of very high quality boot camps or like coding experiences and things like this, and then extending those to different domains. It's very important for me, at least personally, in terms of the way that I think and the way that I implement things, to basically just do these little experiments and kind of like get them off the ground, get things moving in a direction, and then moving on to maybe the next one, and sort of trying to accumulate that and doing that collaboratively with the participants. If there's any great piece of advice that I got from Kernel, it was that the very first cohort will be like your lifelong friends. They'll help you get more people, and like give them an experience that they won't forget. So that by all means is what I very much hope for. So tomorrow, this is I think longer than the other ones. I just kind of let myself ramble, and I didn't edit this video. So if you're watching this, it's completely unedited. I'm trying to get myself past this hesitation to do so, just in case I get my foot in my mouth or I appear moronic and something that I happen to say. I don't care, but at least I hope not to care as much in the future after kind of accumulating these. But I think it's going to be like a really enjoyable adventure, and tomorrow I'll be streaming these live. I just like requested permission to do so, or this one would be as well. So if you're seeing this, it's I've overcome a great hesitation just in myself to not be overcritical of a completely unedited video. And please like and subscribe or whatever. I guess everybody says that.